Hello and welcome, everybody. Super excited to be here with Successive Digital, one of our partners here at Strapi. We're super excited for an amazing presentation that they have today. We're going to talk about deploying Strapi at scale and everything you need to keep in mind when doing so. And without any ado, I want to just jump into the content. So I'm going to go ahead and why don't we have Amit give us a brief intro of you and your team.
Hey, good evening, good morning, folks. I am Amit Halder, as your architect at Successive Digital. Here I handle client problem in the deployment process, as well as I foster the contribution between the development team as well as the cloud team. So that's it.
Hey guys, I'm Prabal. I'm a Strapi solution architect at Successive Digital, and I help enterprises into their digital transformation journey from traditional CMSs to headless solution like Strapi.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Gaurav Malik, aka Gary. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer. Thank you, Paul, so much for inviting us over on the Strapi webinar. We look forward to get all the questions and answers that the audiences might have. One of the things that we are doing at Successive Digital is partnering with Strapi and implementing a lot of headless and composable experiences solutions. And we can show you a lot of examples. Hopefully, you would get the details in terms of what you're looking for in terms of the deployment. And we hope to have many more series of these webinars.
Sounds good. Really excited to jump into the topic.
Yeah.
So let me quickly take you guys through the agenda. First, we'll have a quick glance of what we do at Successive, what we have done so far in Strapi. Then we'll have a look at the various deployment options we have in Strapi. Then we are going to focus primarily on the topic of the day, that's self-hosting Strapi application, and have a look at various use cases, various strategies that you can take for that. And then we'll top it all with a demo of if someone wants to set up their own Strapi instance over one of the self-hosted solution, then what you can do. We'll discuss a few of our experiences on deployment options related to Strapi, and then we'll try to answer as many questions as we can.
Sounds good. Thank you, Prabal. Let me quickly take you through about Successive. We're not going to take too much of your time, but just so you guys know what we do. So Successive Digital, we've been in the business for 10 plus years. We operate out of many countries, headquartered out of Dallas in the US. We have offices in Raleigh, UK, UAE, South Africa, and India. Mainly from capabilities perspective, what we do is digital strategy and product engineering, which obviously also leads to customer experience. We implement platform services, and obviously a lot of implementation is happening right now in cloud data and AI. You can see the numbers on the top. I'm not going to go through the details. But if you quickly go back to the previous slide, Prabal, some of the clients that we have worked for are mainly in the media and entertainment industry and the retail and commerce. And that's where we have implemented Strapi. And one of the largest implementation of Strapi we have implemented, it's been almost 4 years, where a team of 200 plus people implementing the headless implementation, going into all the details in terms of what can be done, what cannot be done. So we really hope that you'll get to see some of those best practices that Prabal and Amitabh are going to bring forward. Next slide, please. I think we have already covered this. If you go to the next slide. So let's talk about composable experiences, right? I think a lot of you might have heard about composable experiences, but what exactly is composable experience, right? So it's a kind of think of it as a flexible and modular content creation and delivery, right? Where you are able to create the components which are reusable across the multiple layer, right? And how does this composable experience help you? It helps you in making sure that you have the DAM set up correctly. You're able to get the search, workflows, content intelligence, analytics, integrations, and personalization. One of the use case I remember, actually one of our clients in India is looking to implement personalization. They want to remove certain features of a logged in user if they have already bought those products. And they're not able to do that because they are not in the headless implementation. And that is where we have implemented some of those Strapi solutions in a truly composable way, where you can also implement personalization without putting in a lot of customizations onto the products as well. So that's on composable experience. I think I'm going to hand it over back to Prabal to talk about the implementations.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that, Gary. So, yeah, composable implementations really make Strapi solutioning a good long strategy for the clients. And if we talk about how we have implemented Strapi and what our capabilities are, we have worked across clients with in multiple domains, from media advertisement to hospitality management. We not just work on Strapi, but we also build everything from the user interfaces to everything around in the platform that works with Strapi. We have a team of 100 plus Strapi expert that bring the Strapi vision to life. And we have had experiences of doing this over more than 20 projects. There are a lot of solutions that we have come up with in terms of SSO integrations to make sure there is a standard login experiences for our client, whether it be using IAM solutions like Okta or Amazon Cognito. We have implemented Strapi with different front-end frameworks from Vue, React, Angular, and any framework of your choice. When it comes to using Strapi for solutions in enterprises, you generally have a single instance of Strapi that's being used by a lot of users, which makes role-based access controls and content approval workflows quite crucial in your content management journey. And optimization can also be a very big boost to Strapi solutions using caching like in-memory databases like Redis. And of course, on the topic of the day, that's self-hosting Strapi. We have experience of using of self-hosting Strapi on different cloud providers from Azure to AWS, GCP, and etc. We have also talked to Strapi not only from a REST API perspective but also from a GraphQL view. So it fits in well with a graph-based system as well. We have also used SEO implementations with Strapi and also done highly bespoke content modeling work on Strapi. And if we look at Strapi from an end-to-end architecture point of view, you can layer your architecture into your front end, back end, and all the third-party plugins and databases. Strapi fits right in the middle. It can talk to other components in your platform, and it can integrate with. There are only a limited number of front-end frameworks and libraries here, but whatever you can get on the internet, its headless nature allows you to integrate it with it. And it can also be the core of your backend with Strapi controlling all your backend, not just your content as well. So if we go into a request flow for Strapi, a Strapi request generally initiates on the user interface, which in this world, our device is application running on devices of different screens, different sizes, and API gateway, GraphQL, or any other graph-based API. It allows to declaratively fetch the required content based on that required screen size, which can further connect to microservices, and then you go into the Strapi world where you have the admin panel, where you have APIs and webhooks integrating with the other parts of the platform and using message queues and whatever communication mechanisms that we generally have. So let's first, before we go into depth of self-hosting, let's first discuss what deployment options we get with Strapi. We get the Strapi Cloud, which is an amazing solution if you have to take your product to the market really fast. It provides managed hosting. It provides automatic update. It takes away a lot of sleepless nights, and it's a really great solution. And then you have the self-hosting solution. So I think one of the core reasons of Strapi to be there is that it does not restrict you to to do same thing when it comes to customizing it or even deploying it. It gives you tons of options of deploying it either on your on-premise systems or generally which is a cloud provider these days. So so let's first discuss why someone would like to go with a self-hosted deployment use cases. We have had a lot of clients that who go with Strapi because of its self-hosting capabilities. So one of the main reason and the use case is control and standardizations. So organizations generally build up their infrastructure, they build up their standards throughout the years. Everyone has their favorite cloud provider. Everyone has that certain section in the office that controls that part. So they have a lot of standards, and everyone loves those. So making a new technology part of that standard is always a welcome choice. They can fine tune that performance as per their requirement. They can integrate that with their existing technologies as they want. They can have monitoring, they can have security implementations, they can have log management as they want. And some organization really want to have complete control over the technologies that they're using. The other use case is, and we have experienced it with a lot of clients, that they don't want deployment in certain zones in certain geographical regions that in which their applications is not operating in. And sometimes these applications are really concentrated to certain parts of the world. And with data sovereignty laws like CCPA, GDPR, and API, it becomes quite crucial to have applications deployed within that geographical region. So, 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 so these are some of the use cases. Now, I think Amit would like to share some light on various deployment strategies that we have at Strapi.
Okay, thank you for the walkthrough, Prabal. Hello, folks. So there are multiple deployment strategies over the cloud. It can be managed, it can be monolithic, it could be unmanaged, it could be microservice based. So there are multiple factors that one should consider before deploying any Strapi application over to the cloud, or it could be any application that should be in the cloud. One should focus on automation. That is basically the deployment process. The one should not consider major time on the automation part of the deployment part of that. So it should be automated in such a way that major focus should be on the application development rather than the deployment. So that part is automation one must consider over the cloud. Containerization, the application must be in such a way that the code must be consistent over the every environment, whether it is dev, stage, or production. It's like build once, deploy anywhere. Okay, and next should be the containerization orchestration. Like we are having a enterprise level application that needs a that is having a huge traffic. So how we are going to manage that containers? That here comes in the orchestration that is going to scale up dynamically according to the resource uses like that and life cycle of the application. And that is scalability, the ability to grow our app or grow down our application infrastructure according to our needs. Like when there is a traffic flow, it scales up accordingly, and it scales down when there's no traffic or near about zero. And next part is one should consider the monitoring of the resources as well as the security part. We should the app team or the infra team must be aware of the resource consumptions, how the resource is getting used by using the app. So it must be under the monitoring. So Azure monitoring comes in place here for an example, and we must be aware of the good or bad traffic that is flowing in. So with the monitoring prospect, once we get to know that this is a bad traffic, we can mitigate that. Optimization comes in place. Like for example, there's one website and it is taking a huge time to load. So no user will be staying in place for a longer time. So for that part, we must opt for the optimization. That could be a static content optimization and as well as dynamic content. For static content, we can use multiple CDNs available in the market that is provided by multiple cloud vendors as well as private players. And we can use Redis caching for the dynamic content caching that will be in front of database part, dynamic content. Resilience, we must be having our application 24/7 available. So for that thing, like I guess there will be a deployment in the multiple regions and multiple availability zones that must be in consideration. So that's all. Next slide, please. So Strapi can be deployed as a on a microservice platform. For that part, we will be using AKS here. We will be taking an example of AKS. So what AKS will be doing is we will be deploying our Strapi application in a containerized manner, and the Kubernetes service will be orchestration, doing the orchestration like scaling up, scaling down, and routing of inside our application. They'll be dynamically scaling the resource allocation to that app as per our needs. Okay. So here we are having an architecture of the microservice-based deployment that is over the Azure cloud. Here we are having Azure cloud, and inside that we are having subscription that is going to tackle our billing part. Inside that we have a VNet. VNet is segregation of network that is good for the network up and as well as security prospect to differentiate between different applications. The subnetting of the VNet. This is the IP subnetting of the VNet, and here comes in the AKS. So here, as we can see, with the Strapi application, we are having multiple tech stack applications coupled here, and those are using database, uh, different databases like MySQL, Postgres, Mongo. It can be used any coupled with anything. And on top of that, we are having a caching technology called Redis cache. And for the storage prospect, we are using Azure Blob Storage. Next is monitoring part. We have included here monitoring and logging analytics for our resource and security prospects monitoring with Azure monitoring. And here we have automated the CI/CD pipeline using Azure DevOps Helm chart for the deployment prospect. Next, how the user is coming to our application. First, he will be facing the front door. What is front door? Front door is delivering the traffic from the different part of the world and facing it to the Azure cloud. So next part is coming in CDN, the optimization part. It is basically delivering the content, static content from the over the edge server provided by the Azure clouds. Next, we have to differentiate between the good or bad traffic. So for that, we have used WAF. And next is the routing part. We have also used API gateway here for the routing of the traffic to the clusters, different clusters. That's all, Praval. Can we move to the next part? So there's one more part that Azure provides is Azure App Services. So like in the last thing, we have used AKS. That is majorly for the teams, enterprise organization that is having a huge lot of resources as well as manpower to manage all these services. That is meant for this. That is huge level of enterprise grade application. Now let's come into place like where we want to have a managed service somewhat like on Azure. So we can do it using the Azure App Services as well. We can deploy Strapi app over the Azure App Services. Rest of the thing we are using the same. We are just using a managed service to deploy our Strapi app over the Azure App Service. Okay, guys. Next, one of our clients wanted to have a highly resilient, highly available architecture of the Azure App Services. So what we have suggested is we have deployed the application over the different availability zone with the read replicas, zero redundant storage, and multiple APs with a WAF solution to secure the application. So let's get into a demo how we have done the deployment of Strapi application on Azure App Services. Just let me share my screen, Prabal. Okay, give me a moment. I hope screen is visible to everyone. So
Not yet.
right now
Once
we are at
it's ready, I'll
No,
put it
not
in.
yet. Not yet.
not yet. Yeah. Okay.
Right, ready to
Yes.
go.
Okay. So we are at the home page of the Strapi. Here we have the blueprint of how to deploy a core Strapi app. We'll be copying this command and pasting it over the terminal of the local system. And I've done already to save our time, guys. And the project is done. It has deployed a core project of Strapi. Next, we will be having this over our Git repository so that many dev teams can contribute to it. So I've done that too also. I have get it over to the GitHub and post the code. Next, we'll be deploying this application to the Azure App Services. For that, let's log in into the Azure portal. I'm already in. For the segregation part, what I have used is I have use resource group. Let's create one resource group. Yeah, I've used the subscription that is basically right now. Let's type in the name of the resource group. Source, select the region. Let's wait for a greener one, valid. It's passed. I will be not clicking on the create button as I've already done it for you guys. And we are in. We have created a resource group. Here we can use IAM roles to segregate the resources as well as user management. So I've done that. Now for the app services, we are requiring a app service plan to accommodate that web app. So for that, I will be creating a app service plan. I've already named it demo. I'll be using operating system that is Linux. And I will be using the resource group that created in the earlier stage. The region will be the same. Pricing plan, I'll be using the basic one as it is a demo one. Next, tagging. Tagging is important. We'll be using the project name and review. Let's wait for a green. And done. We can click on the create button and an app service plan will be created. It will be like this. We'll be having the monitoring things over here at the overview section. How much CPU, memory percentage, and data in, data out are going through. Resource monitoring is done here for the app service plan. Next, we need to create the web app that will be hosting our Strapi app. That will be associated with this app service plan. So let's create that. I've already filled in some data to save. Okay. Let's select the resource group, create the app. For the runtime, it is important. We will be using the latest node version that we are getting from the Azure. We will be using Linux. We'll be using the app service plan created in the earlier stage and the pricing plan. Now next, DB is not important right now. We will be creating it separately. Else you can do it from here also. Next, deployment is basically for the continuous deployment strategy. We can integrate our Git account here. So it can be one-click deployment from here. We'll be not doing it right away. Next, monitoring is enabled. We will be creating the web app to be accessible to all over the world. That's why it is public. Next, monitoring. Yes. Application insights are good for monitoring. Next, tagging, review, and create. This thing is also done by me. Okay, this is the interface. How we are done. The deployment center, that is continuous deployment. Here, it is already connected. This one is my repo. This is it. Now, we will be requiring a database also to connect with it. For that, we'll be using the resource group. Database name, that must be unique. That is not unique. Okay, so reason I will be using the MySQL, that is latest one provided by Azure. And this is obviously a demo, so I'm using the basic version. No AZ is required right now, but we can have it multi-AZ solution at this database level. So we can select it from here. I will be not taking it right now. Okay. So this will be the MySQL authentication. As an admin user, I will be creating a user and password to access the DB that I'm not doing right now. Networking, yes, allow public access. But for the enterprise and production environment, it is not advisable to create the public access databases. For right now, demo purpose, I have done it. Okay. Next, security. For the key pair authentication, I'm not creating right now. It's done. Tagging and review and create. We'll be up with the database, and let's jump into that. It's fine. We can see over here our computation power and DB is created. Yeah, done. Let's jump into the storage part for the storing of a static content used by the Strapi. I will be using the same resource group repeatedly. Storage name Strapi demo. Done. Performance will be standard right now. We can use the premium. The premium will be more IOs, so read and write operations will be very faster here. Geo redundant, we'll be using it in a production environment. Right now, we will be a locally redundant solution. Next, advanced. Requiring REST API to access it? No, right now we're not. Done. Enable public access? Yes. Data protection? No, right now. That's it. And review. There will be some naming convention issue. We'll be fixing it. That's done. Review. It is done. We'll be creating it. I have already done it. We have the container. We will create a container. I've done it for you. Strapi uploads. Okay. For the front-end part, I'll be now using a CDN to optimize and WAF to integrate the security to our web app. For that, I'll be using a front door, same resource group, Strapi front door, standard, endpoint will be Strapi endpoint. The origin type will be, we'll be using app service in the behind. So here, app services, host name will be whatever we created in the previous step of web app creation. That's it. WAF policy we can create. We'll be using the default one, review and create next. Done. Validation pass. It's done. I've already done that for you guys. So here it is the endpoint that front door has given us. So that is attached to our app service. So we'll be copying that and we will be opening that. Yeah, the server is up and running. Let's get into the home page. That is admin. I've already created the admin user. Yeah, we are into it. Interface. Here is the content manager. Here we can manage the user, content type builder, and here's the media library. For the in detail blog, you can visit the successive website containing the blog associated with this app deployment.
Yeah, thank you, Amit.
And I'll put a link in the chat here for anybody that's interested. We'll also repost it on our website as well for any.
Yeah, and just to add to what Amit just shared, so this was done using Azure, whereas you can use the cloud provider of your choice. There are generally similar services and technologies that can be scaled to other cloud providers. So if you are planning to do a self-hosted solution, the cloud provider is not going to restrict you. Uh, so yeah, and please do follow the detailed steps of implementation and let us know how your experience was. So so moving ahead, in case someone got intimidated by what all the configurations that Amit had to do, you have a friend in Strapi Cloud. It's going to be a fully managed hosting solution, and it's going to take care of updates and take care of all the layers and all the nesting that we have built around Strapi, from the front door to CDNs to WAF and to all the optimization, monitoring, and logging that we have to customize on our own. So we try to visualize a podium, we can. So we just covered three different type of solutions today. We started with a self-managed solution in AKS. That is where you have to use Azure Kubernetes Service to manage everything on your own. We went to a partially managed solution in using Azure App Service, which is slightly costlier, but it does try to reduce your complexities a bit. But you still have to weave around that nest of optimization, of security checks, of monitoring, secure and logging. If you have to go to a partial solution, if you have to go to a full-fledged managed solution, then you have Strapi Cloud. And if we have to look at some reasons as to why we should not go with self-hosted solutions, we don't recommend it for every client that we get. Is the first is infrastructure management. It's expensive. You need to have capabilities to do that. You need to make sure you're taking care of a lot of different things. You have to design your solution well. And then there is the maintenance burden, not just after the application has went live, but even during the development phase, during its MVP phase. And once the application has gone live, you need to support it completely. You have to design your solution in a way that it needs to be scalable. You have to take care of that yourself as well. Even with cloud service providers, in this day and age, there is still some sort of solutioning and configuration that goes into that. And and if you talk about support, you do get support from the cloud service provider. You do still get support on Strapi from the Strapi team, but not on its hosting. And and yeah, it could lead to resolutions that take too much of the time to resolve. But and if we talk about as to why we should go with Strapi Cloud, it's a very simplified setup. It's a hassle-free configuration that we can do quite easily. It will take care of all the updates to Strapi and its underlying infrastructure, security fixes. So you don't have to worry about it. You just have to worry about building the application, and so you can have a very less time to market, which is quite crucial when it comes to success of products in this time. Scalability is also going to be taken care of quite easily, and since it's a managed service, you will get very fast support from the Strapi team. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If anyone has any questions.
Yeah, there was one question, which is like to hear you take. They asked, why did you prefer Azure over AWS? And I think it's just because you wanted to showcase in this example, but the concepts apply through any service that you want to use.
Yeah. So if we go back, so we discussed few of these principles, right? So almost all cloud providers take care of these principles. You can even have more principles or even lessen them based on the standards. But yeah, AWS can be the choice. GCP can be the choice. So there is no restriction on that.
So, like, I know you discussed a lot of different options. How do you help your clients decide what deployment option is the right fit for them? And because I imagine there's different organizations, and some people might have the resources to do the stuff in-house, and sometimes people just don't want to have the headache, and they'll reach out to someone like you to help them, with the solution.
Yes. So it's our responsibility to make sure that we provide the best service in terms of cost and quality to the client. So if we can, because there are a lot of things that come with self-hosting. You will have to take out for the time of a certain resource, an engineer who is going to configure all this for you. But we try to make sure if there is no self-hosting use case for a client, as in they are not worried about standardization, they're not worried about certain security laws and certain customization aspect, we do recommend to go with Strapi Cloud, which is a faster solution to set up an application. And with the create Strapi CDN command, you can have the boilerplate running and deployed on a cloud in less than an hour, and which is quite neat. And so that's why I try to manage that self-hosting. It's we saw it's a bit complex to implement, but it's not always what everyone would want, and we make sure clients don't go in that direction.
What are the like common mistakes you've seen people trying to do what you do, but like where's the difficulty comes from? Like for me, for instance, I prefer like I built smaller projects and I prefer like Strapi Cloud because it's something I could manage and do. And I feel like if I had to go through the process of like what you described, there's so many moving parts that me as an individual, I feel like I would make a mistake somewhere, and not having as much experience, I'd probably be lost. And it almost makes sense to have like someone like yourselves to come and set it up. But from your standpoint, like, what are the common mistakes you see when people try to make complex deployment infrastructures?
So to start, so the solutioning is not always in place. For example, everyone does not think about all the security checks, the firewalls that they need to be in place, because functional requirements do take the front seat whenever an application is being built, but non-functional requirements take a back seat. So no one is so generally edge computing, edge networking, CDNs, they come at a later stage, and you always have to keep that in mind, that when the product is getting more matured, you add these steps. And I think the other very crucial part is monitoring and logging. Not everyone does not have monitoring and logging as one of the must-have for their application, which I do believe is quite crucial. It increases your development experience by a lot. It helps you resolve issues quite faster. It helps you see issues that your customers are facing in a much better way. And and yeah, these are so generally folks try to focus on functional requirements. But a non-functional aspect like performance and security, they do help your product a lot. And these are some of the common mistakes that people generally glance over, and for which I think they need our experience and expertise to tell them that this is something that you need to take care of.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like looking to see if there's other questions. Actually, a big shout out to LinkedIn. A lot of viewers on LinkedIn, which is pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Yeah, and folks, if you have any questions, definitely ask. That's why we're live right now. And while you're thinking of questions, if you, I'm gonna share the link to the blog post that they wrote, which is a really awesome tutorial. Definitely go check it out. And if you have any additional questions, by the way, you can always contact Successive Digital, and they will be more than happy to help you with any of the things that you need help with.
Yeah, you can reach us on LinkedIn in case you guys have any questions. And just to add to what you asked about what are the common mistakes we see. The other common mistakes we generally see is so one of the biggest common mistake we see is edge networking is not configured in the way it should be. So we run a CSA phase to most of the clients that we are doing digital transformation for, in which we check their front ends and try to see how web vitals are not working fine. And in a lot of use cases, edge networking turns out to be the bad guy, and the web vitals improve a lot, and so does their application performance if just a basic CDN is taken care of, which I think Strapi cloud does quite well. But you have to think and plan for that when you're doing self-hosted deployment with Strapi or with any other technology in set.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I had somebody ask a question from your experience. If someone, for instance, is using MySQL and they want to change to Postgres, is how complex is that process, especially once stuff is deployed? And one thing that I want to say, this is like I've talked to a lot of different developers, and some people like they make smaller like size projects and they don't think about all the complexity that comes with everything that you talked about. And to me, for instance, what you just discussed, like for me as like where I am, that's just too much to think. And I would definitely would want to hire like someone who already seen all the pitfalls, knows how to do things because you've done many projects. And I feel in certain cases, it just makes sense to hire someone and pay because I talked to a lot of developers and they're always trying to find, and this again, not enterprise customers, maybe they're deploying their own blog post or maybe they're thinking of their little small SaaS product. They just want to get it out there as cheap as possible. And I feel like taking that route, it might be the cheapest at the beginning, but as you scale and as you grow, that might actually lead to issues. And so I feel like everything you described, for me, it was like very eye-opening to know that if, security is important, if redundancy is important, and making sure your app doesn't fail, like it's really smart to do things right from the start.
Yep. That's true. Yeah, when so I think on the question of someone just posted about MySQL to Strapi migration. So that would depend on how your MySQL database schema is set up. For some cases, it can be quite easy to migrate, but I haven't experienced certain cases when when it's that difficult to migrate. But yeah, it's surely going to take some time if you have a lot of joins and a lot of references in your databases.
Okay, so someone is asking how we can handle the performance of a high traffic volumes. So basically for that, we can use scaling in a horizontal or vertical manner with the database caching using Redis for that purpose, for query optimization at the database level. And we also can use content delivery network for our static content so that all the pressure does not goes to the server itself or any app server platform.
I have a question, just because this is something that I was running into on my app, and my deployment is not as complex as yours. But I found out that there's certain requests that take a long time just for the specific things that you're doing. So this is where I have to kind of implement some sort of queuing system or message broker. Like, what is your go-to system that you like to use when it comes to like queuing and message broker?
Sorry, Paul. I think that's static.
Okay.
Yeah, but I can. I think you're trying to talk about some system. I'm exactly not sure um, to to solve any particular problem or not. I could not hear that.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, my mic is acting out, so I'll let you kind of drive if there's any
Okay.
other questions. Otherwise, we could finish up.
So just to add to what Yatin was asking as to how do we optimize for high traffic, adding something like a load balancer as well as CDN, as well as having Redis take the load of your database is quite a good option, and it surely reduces the load on different aspects of your platform, and it improves your capabilities of handling high traffic volumes. Okay.
I don't know if my mic is still messed up, but there's more
Yeah.
question around.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you would be able to reuse that database without having it migrated via Strapi. There can be some complexions that can arrive because Strapi manages its schema and it's on its own. So unless you're trying to customize Strapi to a large extent, this is going to be an issue. So, so we have a question as well. So how does Strapi support development of multilingual websites or applications? So this is something that we find Strapi really great at. It does support a lot of different localization languages. We have had experiences where we have used it on applications that are operating globally. So you can have 10 different languages to take care of. And not only that, Strapi would also help you localize your admin panel. So if your content managers are comfortable in a certain language, you can also use that with Strapi. So so that is that these are something that set Strapi apart from other technologies that you might want to check. So you can create multiple microservices in Strapi. So Strapi is like a node service um, that you can use, and if you and in the same manner and with AKS and app service, your microservices be deployed in the same manner as Strapi would be deployed. You can have multiple Strapi services running in your platform. We have done that for some clients where because Strapi is not just used for content management, it's also used as a RAD platform, and it can set your platform up quite fast. Yes, you can support multiple front-end domains using the same instance. And yeah, but and yes, you can also control where what's published. And sorry, I jumped in on that question. So the question was from Gaurav Yadav as to can we support multiple front-end domains? Yes, we can. You will have to, I think, take care of the uh, course there. Otherwise, you might end up getting course issues. But once that is done, you can support multiple domains. You can support multiple domains in in different languages in different frameworks as well. And we can also control what's published where, because the response headers can help us make that decision.
Yes, someone is asking how can we create multiple microservices in Strapi?
Yeah,
So
I
we
think.
can use
Sorry.
of GraphQL, yeah. Someone is asking that's how can we create multiple microservices in Strapi?
Okay. No, I
Yeah,
think we sort of covered that. You can use that. You can also have, yeah, like you said, Amit, we can have a GraphQL layer
yeah, exactly.
on top of Strapi as well.
Yes, we can do it. We can do it on any cloud platform.
Yeah, and we have also shared the tutorial link in case you want to connect on that.
Okay, so basically, when someone is asking how far we can go with Strapi on a single host. So that totally depends on the how much resource it is having and how much traffic and all is coming to that instance.
Yes, it is suitable for a big e-commerce platform. We have had experiences with it, integrating Strapi with some personalization engines as well. So yeah, because personalization, managing inventory, they all are crucial aspect of e-commerce platforms, and Strapi can be customized it like we discussed in the start about the composable nature of the applications that we have. So Strapi can fit into that composition quite well as well.
Yeah, I'm afraid to talk. My mic.
Yeah.
Is it still
No, no,
Is it still terrible?
no, it's good.
Still
It's good now.
Yeah, I'm gonna have actually send a quick invite for Mark to jump in. He could do a little outro for us as well. 1 second. I'll send Mark an invite. Those of you who don't know, Mark is in charge of our partner program. So perfect. Send them an invite. But that was an amazing talk. I learned a lot, and I know a lot of people really, really enjoyed it as well. And you know what's interesting is our first time streaming to LinkedIn, and it's insane how many more like people are on LinkedIn versus like YouTube and stuff like that. And here in StreamYard, it doesn't show the folks on LinkedIn, but man, LinkedIn is a lot of people. Really, really nice. And so let me bring Mark in here. Hey, Mark, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, Paul, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sound good.
Hey, big thanks to the Successive Digital team for their presentation today. This is our first partner stream. We're going to have many more of these. Look forward to one pretty much every month. But we're very glad to have Successive kick this off. They're one of our solution partners. They're a business level solution partner. And we're very excited to have them on board, helping out with Strapi projects and answering all of your questions. So look forward to more of these sessions in the future. And again, a big thanks to Paul and Successive for pulling this together today. If you have any questions around the Strapi Partner Program, I will share a link in the chat for you all to check it out.
Okay, someone is asking that if we can set local language by default according to geolocation. Yes, we can do it using front door with custom Strapi codes.
Yeah, thank you for that, Amit.
So that was excellent. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody here. I feel we dropped a lot of knowledge here, and this is going to be available as a recording, so folks will be able to check it out on our YouTube. And again, make sure you check out the blog post from Success Digital that they shared to complement this talk. So you could it's actually pretty in depth. I was reading it and checking it out. So definitely suggest I throw the link on the one more time. But with that being said, thank you all for stopping by. And any final words before we head out?
No.
Well, thank you, everybody, and everybody have a good day, good evening, or good morning, wherever you are. And we'll see everyone later. Bye, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.